Welcome back after lunch break. I hope you haven't overdosed on patatas bravas, because now we're back to saving the world, and we're going to be talking about decarbonizing crypto, decarbonizing the world, and the best person to talk about it is Marc Johnson. Welcome to the stage, Marc. We're very lucky because his mentor, Kalberg, is actually here in the first row, but we're going to put him right here. Would you like to lie on the grass? Yeah, please lie on the grass.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's going to look great on the camera. Just take off your shoes maybe, but yeah, you can be with the shoes as well. Here he goes.
Wonderful. Thanks, dude. Good to have you up here. Well, if we can get, there we go. There's my slides. Everybody, my name is Marc Johnson. Thank you for having me here. I'm an environmental solutions architect for Filecoin Green, which is an initiative by Protocol Labs, the company behind IPFS, Filecoin, libp2p, NFT storage, a whole suite of applications. And today, I really want to talk to you guys about our work. And in doing so, I want to provide you a regen recipe and showcase how, through our work, by decarbonizing crypto, we can decarbonize the world. So to kick us off, I want to start with just an environmental outlook. And let's all face it, that environmental outlook is pretty bleak. And I'm not even trying to be an alarmist, I'm just going to state the facts, right? The United Nations Environmental Programme's recent emissions gap report from 2021 highlights the necessity to decarbonize the economy, and it states very, very clearly that climate change is no longer a future problem. It is a now problem. And furthermore, the IPCC's landmark 6 assessment report further demonstrates this and explains that extreme weather events that we're seeing around the world are directly attributed to the buildup of anthropogenic greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. Now, considered a code red for humanity by the United Nations Secretary General, these reports tell us a very clear message. To ensure we maintain a livable climate, we must radically and drastically decarbonize the global economy. And this imperative necessitates the collective efforts of countries, corporations, and individual consumers to realign incentives and drive decarbonization efforts at a scale and speed never before achieved. Luckily, not all is dire, and there are signs of hope. Governments, local, regional, and national, are starting to draft mandates for climate risk disclosures, and policymakers have begun implementing carbon adjustments on imports and exports at national borders. Furthermore, half of the S&P 500 companies now have carbon reduction plans, and there are over 2,600 companies that have signed up for the Task Force for Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, as seen there on the right. However, all of these policy measures and corporate actions beg 2 very simple questions. Will this be enough, and how do we track real progress? Well, luckily, Web3 very well may be the answer to those questions. Because blockchain networks and crypto primitives have a unique opportunity to demonstrate how we can realign incentives, drive collective actions towards reducing emissions, showcasing industry-wide decarbonization, and driving demand for clean technologies. And really, I think, that meme says it all. If regen, wag me, else we're really just not going to make it. Right, and this meme, first created by our founder, Juan Benet, really encapsulates and encompasses all that we've set out to do at Filecoin Green. So what exactly is that? Well, Filecoin Green is Protocol Labs' initiative to, 1, verifiably decarbonize the Filecoin network, but also 2, to build the world's best tools to monitor and mitigate the environmental impacts in a number of industries. And so what we've really set out to do is to develop the Web3 native monitoring and reporting tools for publicly verifiable sustainability claims. And we're doing this because we recognize that by building existing environmental standards, such as the Greenhouse Gas Protocol, into Web3 will enable rich environmental data to flow through supply chains in a matter of minutes rather than months, as it currently takes. And by doing so, we're very confident that we'll address 3 core challenges currently facing crypto, TradFi, and the natural world. So first, as I'm sure you guys are very well aware, in crypto right now, the most prominent crypto networks require a significant amount of electricity to operate. And with the growth of these networks over recent years has come louder and louder calls to measure and reduce this energy use and associated environmental impact. And due to a lack of tools to monitor and mitigate this energy use, some countries, regions, provinces, and states have banned or are starting to propose bans on crypto mining and relating activity. Secondly, in finance and in industry, corporations are now facing a confluence of pressures related to their environmental performance. Individual consumers are starting to request more information about the environmental impact of products and goods. Financiers are starting to request increased transparency on the sustainability of corporate operations. And policymakers are starting to propose stronger and stronger environmental regulations. And then third, for the sake and the benefit of the natural systems that we all depend on, we need more sophisticated tools to more accurately assess what the environmental impacts of our decisions on the economy are on a transaction-by-transaction basis, right? Like, let's face it, we no longer have the luxury of making decisions purely on a monetary basis, and we now must assess how our decisions affect the planetary boundaries. And so at Filecoin Green, we are focusing on addressing these three problems and are really focused on 4 areas of focus. So the first area of focus is on evaluating the energy use of the Filecoin network itself. And as I'll explain in just a minute, through this work, we are incredibly proud to say that we've made Filecoin the world's most transparent major blockchain when it comes to electricity use. Secondly, we're doing a ton of work on connecting the network to renewable energy. And the primary implication of this work is that very soon, all nodes within the network will be able to showcase and prove how much renewable energy is generated and where it's being generated to store client data. Third, we're doing a ton of work and developing a ton of guidance to support Filecoin storage providers in decarbonizing their operations and moving towards more sustainable operations. And then fourth, we are totally dedicated to building a developer community and catalyzing this nascent environmental Web3 space. So let's dive into all this in a little more detail. Ever so quickly, when thinking about evaluating the energy use of the Filecoin network, it's useful to remember that when you mine Filecoin as a storage provider, aka a node operator within our network, you do so by storing that data and continuously proving that you're storing that data over time. And this is done primarily through a 2-step process, right? That first process is the sealing process, in which you onboard that data to the network. And during this, you also set up a series of zero-knowledge proofs that will allow you to prove that you're continuously storing that data over time. Now, this process obviously requires computational resources and therefore electricity. And the second major process is the actual storage itself, which also requires computational resources and therefore electricity. But unlike traditional Web 2 cloud providers, in Filecoin, you have to continuously prove that you're storing this data over time. And the way that this happens, or the way that this process unfolds, is that you commit one of those proofs that you previously set up to the Filecoin blockchain every 24 hours, showcasing that you are still storing that data and that it has not changed in any way. And to us, that is an incredibly underappreciated feature of Filecoin, right? Because with most blockchain networks, if you want to assess the environmental impact of that network, if you only see one node in that network when they win a block reward, then you really need to rely on some type of techno-economic model to assess network activity, such as how many nodes are active and what their hash rate is, right? And relying on a techno-economic model really means you have to make many, many assumptions about network activity. But with Filecoin, because we have all these on-chain proofs of the computational resources that storage providers are committing to the network every 24 hours, we can use these very granular data points to make an energy use model and to develop tools like our energy use dashboard to monitor these metrics over time. So right now, you can go to filecoin.energy, and you can look at the energy use metrics of the entire network, and you can even dial in to, say, your favorite Filecoin storage provider to assess the energy use metrics of that individual node within the network over time. And we believe this is incredibly, incredibly important because, as I mentioned earlier, we believe that blockchain networks and crypto primitives have a very, very unique opportunity to showcase how we can realign incentives and drive collective action towards reducing emissions and be a leader in showing how industries can decarbonize. Now, taking these metrics, such as energy use metrics, and pairing them with other on-chain data, such as the approximate location of nodes, we're able to assess the distribution of network energy use on local power grids. And this is incredibly important because that gives us a clear path to decarbonize these operations and to even go further and instill more decarbonization efforts in those local grid contexts. And the primary instrument that we're doing to establish this connection between node operators, data centers around the world, and renewable energy is a market instrument called RECs, Renewable Energy Certificates. And RECs are really great because they're a very strong way for node operators to purchase renewable energy through local grid operators and to connect that directly to, or to match that directly to, their upper bound energy use estimate of their operations. And this matching enables us to make very granular, very verifiable links to their operations and their data storage activity and the production of renewable energy. Now, I just want to take a quick pause here and state that RECs are fundamentally different than offsets or carbon credits, as you hear of them in many other contexts, because RECs are a way to incentivize the deployment of renewable energy in local grid contexts, therefore establishing a verifiable link to emissions mitigations. And using these instruments, we are incredibly committed to decarbonizing the Filecoin network in record time. And as a testament to that commitment, on behalf of the entire network right now, Protocol Labs and the Filecoin Foundation are procuring enough RECs to match to the upper bound energy use estimate of the entire network this calendar year. To date, we've procured enough RECs to match the middle line energy use estimate and anticipate reaching that upper bound estimate by the end of Q3 2022. That means by the end of Q3 of this calendar year, the entire Filecoin network will run exclusively on renewable energy. Now, in recognition that I should say that it's not our intention to continuously procure RECs on behalf of the network. And in recognition of this, we are also committing a tremendous amount of efforts to support storage providers to become verifiably sustainable in their own independent ways. And we're doing so because, being a storage provider is no easy feat, and decarbonizing operations is no easy feat, right? The standard go-to approach for decarbonization is to quantify your impact, or your footprint, if you will, then seek every possible opportunity to reduce and mitigate those emissions wherever possible. And then if you have any unaccounted for emissions, then you seek to procure high-quality offsets to cover that remainder. However, 99 times out of 100, corporations and individuals resort to conducting a hand-wavy carbon accounting exercise, skip that middle and utterly crucial step, and just go and procure low-cost offsets. And unfortunately, when you procure low-cost offsets, there's generally a correlation to low quality. Therefore, those offsets do not generally mitigate as many emissions as they may state. So we have committed a tremendous amount of efforts to developing this green guidance to identify and define several best practices that storage providers can reference for their own operations, and it suggests how they can decarbonize their operations and move towards more sustainable futures. Now, in recognition that just providing the guidance may not be enough, we have also just recently proposed the Filecoin Green Pledge, a first-of-its-kind pledge that storage providers may make to showcase their commitment to sustainability across their global operations. And adhering to the Filecoin Green Pledge means that storage providers are committed to procuring 80% of their energy use needs from renewable energy by end of fiscal year 2023, ratcheting that up and procuring 100% of their energy use needs from renewable energy by end of fiscal year 2025, and then maintaining that 100% threshold thereon. And we are incredibly, excited for this. Well, I should say that, first of all, Filecoin storage providers can make sustainability claims in 3 different ways, all of which require them to report on crucial operational metrics, such as audited approximate location, energy consumption data, and renewable energy production. And we are currently developing a robust reporting portal and auditing process to kind of streamline these reporting requirements. And in the very near term, while it is not there right now, we will be proposing some protocol level incentives that help move people in the right direction of actually adhering to the Filecoin Green Pledge and decarbonizing in record time. And so what all this means is that the combination of our existing efforts of procuring RECs on behalf of the network in combination with the Filecoin Green Pledge make us very confident that not only will the entire network be connected directly to renewable energy by the end of this year, but by the end of fiscal year 2025, all storage provider operations will be 100% carbon neutral. Now, just to give you a quick example of what this work translates into on the ground, I want to showcase the work we've done with one storage provider in decarbonizing their operations. Decent, a storage provider located in the Netherlands, recently received a Filecoin Foundation's grant to install a solar array on their rooftop of their facility. They have deployed the solar array in incredibly quick order. They are now sharing live production and consumption data with us, and they're documenting this process for others to reference as a guide to implement it and decarbonize their own operations. And this solar array now powers 100% of their Filecoin energy use during the daytime, and it's anticipated or projected to cover more than 40% of their facility's annual energy use. And we are absolutely ecstatic about this work and look forward to working with a ton of other storage providers in doing so. So our last major area of focus is on building this environmental Web3 developer community. And one of the ways that we're doing that is by hosting the Sustainable Blockchain Summit later this month in Paris, directly after ETHCC. It's going to be a 2-day event, July 23rd, 22nd, at an incredible venue in central Paris. I see a few guys in the crowd that are going to be there representing, and we are incredibly excited about that. And in parallel with this, we are actually currently running a hackathon leading up to the Sustainable Blockchain Summit with a whole host of awesome partners such as Gitcoin, Chainlink, Hedera, and Fluence. So if you're at all interested, check out sbs.tech, see what's going on there, and we hope to see you in Paris. Now, we also recently announced our Refi Green Grants pipeline, which is a grant round with $1 million for this calendar year, specifically focused on refi or regen projects. And really the aim is to help catalyze these nascent Web3 projects. And we're really hopeful that a number of the projects in our hackathon or other hackathons or maybe projects that were represented here will apply for grants so that they can continue developing their application or their project. And in the longer term, we really hope to continuously provide some grant funding to projects to help them kind of move through that builder's funnel, graduating from just an early stage hackathon project to maybe an accelerator program to establishing a formal company and then, scaling operations. Now, looking at time, I'm going to draw it back to this decarbonization imperative, and I want to leave you with a specific call to action. Right? As we saw earlier, the environmental outlook is bleak. It doesn't look good. We do need to implement drastic measures to realign incentives and drive deep decarbonization across all sectors of the global economy. But it's not impossible, right? And blockchain networks and crypto primitives have a very unique opportunity to showcase how they can realign incentives, drive drastic and deep decarbonization, be a leader in decarbonizing industries, and drive new demand for clean technology. And so I just want to say that after showing you our regen recipe of how we are looking to drive deep decarbonization with within our specific network, I want to challenge you to muster up every ounce of your solar punk vibes that you have and seek ways to decarbonize your operations, seek ways to decarbonize the crypto space, seek ways to decarbonize every form of economic activity in the hopes that we can right some of the wrongs and we can promote environmental and human flourishing like we've never seen before. Because if regen, we're all going to make it. Thank you.